Okay, I already got in trouble because I didn't say welcome to mornings with Megs yesterday. So I'm going to say that off the top so that I don't forget because I came up with a bit of a plan. It's like when we watched the Truman Show, I think it was, and he's like, "Good morning," and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That was me. I was like, "Good morning," if you're here with me live, or "Hello," if you are catching up with me later. Okay, I thought it was cute, but apparently it took all of my brain capacity and function to actually kind of come up with that, and I forgot to welcome you to the name of the actual show. So we love that for me. Okay, now, let me tell you one thing really, really quickly. So I'm having all sorts of like issues with these people. Not the production crew; they are absolutely amazing, but the actual platform we record on, it's still not allowing me to have guests. So I can have guests on, but I can't hear them speak. So when you have to literally stare at yourself for a full hour and think, how can I be entertaining for a whole last hour? Okay, it's really quite intimidating. But that's okay. Lucky I am very good at thinking on the run. I am going to make it work. And if you're watching this live or on the playback, I'm having to wear my glasses because I'm having all sorts of migraine issues at the minute. And it's just not it, not the vibe. So after all that big spiel, I have got some juiciness for you this morning. And actually, like one segment I almost took out because I was like, oh, it actually probably could get me cancelled, to be perfectly honest. And I don't want to be cancelled already. Or only like a weekend. So anyway, that's okay. We're going to roll with it and kind of see how we go. Okay. Now, what I will say also before we get started, if you are listening to me on the East Coast or like the Southeast, actually, no, like the Northeast Coast, where it's a lot warmer than it is here, we cannot wait to catch up. The winter solstice was like on Saturday or Sunday, which is like the shortest day, longest night, I think it is, of the year. And we also had like some world record, not world record, calm down. So we also had some sort of record. And I can't remember exactly what it was, whether it was like the coldest day. Must have been the coldest day in Adelaide in like a bunch of years. Now, that happened to me the day after I got back from Darwin. So if you know the temperature difference between here and Darwin, she's brutal. Okay, let's talk. So, like I said, I wanted to have kind of like themes of all of these different topics that I'm talking about in each different day. So, today, oh, and Tuesdays, we're talking like Truth Bomb Tuesdays. So, what we've got this morning is I love when I write intros the night before because it's hilarious. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to, well, not the first thing, but one of the things I'm going to be talking about is the coaching industry and what I'm seeing in the space at the moment. Now, this is the part that I feel may get me cancelled because I have a lot of friends that are coaches, and there's no hate on the industry. I used to be a coach, and I still do consider myself to be one. But yeah, I just think we need a little bit of a reset when we're talking about that in a minute because I love mindset work. But yeah, but it's also, this is sort of a similar tie-in, but why good vibes only might be making you worse, okay? Which is not what we want. And then afterwards, because I didn't get to this yesterday, the midlife pivot isn't a crisis. It's like the plan, okay? So you get to like redo. And again, I can't remember if I already said this or I thought this, but the word pivot, I actually learned to hate because I was like, oh my God, like it literally is like saying pivot is your excuse for redoing, like when I used to work for somebody, obviously. I love me a good pivot in my business. Love me a good rebrand. Yeah, so the only time I like to hear that word pivot is when I'm watching that episode of Friends. If you know, you know. It's just the best thing in the world. Okay, what else were we talking about this morning? Oh, yes, and also gratitude as well. So I'm calling it why gratitude is basically maintenance for your mind. Okay? Crazy. Now, I have some epic music for you this morning as well. And then tomorrow, I'm really excited because I have one of the, well, actually, no, two of the brands that I work with on my UGC, in my UGC life, on my UGC life. I have some product info to share with you guys tomorrow, as well as some cute, cheeky little discounts. So I'm excited. I'm officially entered my influencer era and I am so here for it. Okie dokie. Let's get going. All right. Now, like I said, I have my glasses on, but I think as I kind of riff on this, I'm going to have to take them off because it's just not it. And I'm starting to like get a hot flush too. So this is really making me glow underneath these really harsh lights too. So we love that for me. Oh God. Okay. I'm going to take a deep breath before I get into this because I feel like I said this could be squinchy bit controversial, but that's okay. If you don't stand for one thing, you stand for nothing. So let's get into it. So I want to preface this by saying I believe in mindset work. Like the stuff that I've done in the NLP space, like has truly changed my life. And I'm not being dramatic in saying that or being like, whatever. Like if I didn't understand what I understand now about, inner child work and, doing what we call inner work and all of that sort of stuff, I truly believe I wouldn't be where I am now. It is purely because I have an insane amount of, what's the word? It's like, I'm not afraid to be afraid, if that makes sense. So when, starting new ventures, I've started businesses and everyone's like, oh my God, like, how can you just go and do that? And the thing is, my subconscious, I think, gets a kick out of being terrified. So it's great. Like, don't get me wrong. The entrepreneurial part of me absolutely loves that. But the normal person part of me hates it because I feel like my subconscious likes to throw me into this state of disarray and she gets off on it whilst 3D me is like, okay, cool. Like I love that. You love that. But I'm the one that actually has to execute this stuff. So like, let's just calm down. Okay. So yeah, I think I just want to make sure that it is understood that I super love mindset work. And I think that everybody should do some of it in their life. It can change your life. Okay. So that's my little preface. Okay. If I came with a disclaimer, I'm literally a walking disclaimer today. So that's it. So when I say this, okay, the manifest your way to wealth coaching industry has a truth problem, I fear. Okay. So life and manifestation coaching is largely unregulated, okay? So literally anybody can go and do a course or go and do this work and then say that you're a coach, okay? I guess that's the one issue that I do have with this because if you're a better salesperson or if you're a good salesperson, you can easily sell these programs that may be detrimental to people's health. And when you, I guess, go and make big, bold claims like, this will change your life and this will make you millions and like all of these massive big bold claims that we see in marketing, okay, it's like, yeah, I think that's the problem that I don't think it's exactly the problem I've got with it. So there's no required qualification, which as I contradict myself now, I think is also epic because you've got somebody who's built a business and somebody who you look up to, that person's never done a business degree. That person's never done anything that would require or looks like on paper that, gave them the ability to do that. You actually could learn more from the person that's done the thing as opposed to somebody who's read the books and is teaching the thing. Okay. So I use, is his name Luke Hunt? Oh my God, I'll find him and I'll share him. So his story is absolutely beautiful. He used to be in foster care. He was abused across all of his childhood and he now has a massive, massive company and he talks about like from foster care to millions. And he doesn't talk about, I guess, the educational side of things and like, you know, getting a uni degree and doing all these things because it wasn't his path. So I love the way that he explains it and what he does. And I am more likely to look at somebody like that and be like, goals, 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 goals. Tell me how you did it. Like, I am such a practical learner. As opposed to somebody who is just teaching me how to do the things. It's like, and this is another terrible example, but if you look at some like personal trainers, for example, that you potentially don't want or you don't, I guess, idealize their body type, then you probably aren't going to go with them because they can tell you the how, but you want somebody who's like that to embody that and to be that as well. So, and it's also the other thing, and I guess this is probably the biggest one for me, excuse me, is I love to work with people, or I find people inspiring that have done the thing. So when I look at people that have overcome addiction, for example, I don't want a psychologist who's never gone through it to tell me the steps or the how or the whatever. I would more look up to somebody who has been there, done it, is going to tell me actually all of the things and mentally prepare me for what it's going to look like. That I find more inspiring than somebody who's, you know, is exactly the same like with my endo. When I had my hysterectomy, well, actually before I had my hysterectomy, I had to get like approved to do it. It's just wild. Anyway, so I had to get approved to have this surgery done, and I had to see a psychologist to make sure that I had thought through all of the things, right? And I was so against it because I was like, for Christ's sake, like I don't want to live like this anymore. Like, just rip it all out. Okay. So I was dead against it. I had the worst mindset going into it. But this girl, she actually had endo. Okay. So she was a psychologist and she had endo. And so she was like, look, I feel you. Like, you know, yeah, it sucks. And it's ridiculous that you even have to see me. And I was just like, I'm going to open up. I'm going to tell you everything. Okay. Because you understand me. Okay. You're not and it's the same, like, I mean, look, I'm not going to put them in this camp because my gyno and my surgeons, like, are just absolute rock stars. I love them. They have changed my life. Okay. But again, when you're explaining certain things to them, like my head gyno, because I've got two, lol, he is a man, and it's just like, oh my God, if I could actually explain to you like what this feels like physically, it's just like, you know, but he is so well researched in this, and he actually makes note of that a lot as well. He said, well, you know, I'm not physically, like, don't know the physical sensations, but I do understand, you know, the thing behind it. So that's where I'm coming at from all of this. It's like we can teach by doing, and then teach by we have done that, as opposed to like, I've read all about it and this is what the books say to do, and I'm gonna then verbatim regurgitate that to you. Okay, so this is where I'm actually coming from. Okay, all right, so back to my little points I was saying. So okay, so like I said, yeah, almost anyone can call themselves an expert and charge steep fees. And I guess that's the other thing I don't like to be glorified. Like clickbait hooks, like I spent a mortgage on mindset work and this is what I've done. Or I've spent more on my mind than you'll spend in a lifetime. Like this shit I just don't like. Anyway, moving on. So reporting through 2026 has documented coaches telling followers to borrow money for high ticket programs or skip paying bills to quote unquote manifest a richer future. Okay. To a degree, I believe in that because I believe in good debt. And I also am not like a finance person ever. Like I will find any way to fund my life. But I think that we need to be careful about the claims that we spew to people. And we also, and again, look, I'm the woo-wooest person in like the whole world, right? Like, you know, when I talk about I wanted to do a woo-woo Wednesday, which I realize as I've look at the day, it's Wednesday, it's not Tuesday. Jesus. Anyway, these are still good points if I do say so myself. That's why I got so confused last night when they're like Wednesday. I'm like, mate, it's Tuesday. Anyway, whatever. I went to bed with the 6 in front of it last night on the clock. We don't know what we're talking about. Now, I am team woo, like all the way. I truly believe that you can manifest anything you want in your life, and I will die on that hill. However, I'm really mindful about the content that I put out there or the advice that I go out there and give, because I don't think I'm a great like case study when it comes to building a business, because I think I've done it the hardest way impossible. But what I have learned from it, and what the wisdom I can impart, is how to back yourself when you feel like you're in a corner and you cannot fight your way out of it. That I can tell you, because that I do often. So Reddit's life coach snark community holds thousands of accounts of financial strain, cult-like dynamics, and regret, with members fearing retaliation for speaking out. And I think that's the other part of it as well, is like, if you kind of have feedback about how it may not have worked for you, then it's like, you know, you just didn't do the work, or you just didn't do this, or you like, you know, so it's always put back. And again, responsibility for your own actions, incredibly important, but it's a little bit deeper than that, I suppose. And it's really riding a real boom. Like, the wellness economy is valued in the trillions, okay? Trillions. Like, to me, like, you may as well say a gajillion. It's the same amount of money. Like, it's just wild. And manifestation of it is gone obviously mainstream, which is exactly why the grifter fringe scaled with it. So unfortunately, where there's always, you know, where there's going to be people in this industry, there's always going to be people that want to exploit people. It's the worst. Like, why are people so sucky? Okay, so as I said, I'm team woo all the way, but belief is not a business plan, and trust the universe, I guess, is not financial advice. So the version of manifestation that works is actually the boring one. Like, truly, it's like, get clear, okay, on what you want, declare it to the universe. Okay, if anything comes up in you that you're like, oh, maybe I can't have that, then remove those limiting beliefs. And this is where NLP comes into it, because there is the ability to remove limiting beliefs will truly change your life. So I always will endorse that. Okay. And then act as the version of you who already has the thing, right? So that's just the steps. And the version that hurts people tells you the only thing between you and your Lambo is your money mindset. Okay, and then sells you 10 grand in a container until it sells you a 10 grand container to reiterate that point to you. Now, again, to a point, I believe that. However, it's not 100% the way. So I have a problem when I see things like, work with me and you will manifest your dream car. Okay, work with me and the Lambo is basically as good as in your garage. Okay, that I do have a massive problem with. So as a PR strategist, okay, so this is like, I've got my little PR lens here as well, because I can see how this can get blown out of like proportion. And I can see it as well, right? So you manufacture urgency, you frame doubt as low vibe, making them feel like self-sabotage, right? So real coaches will give you tools and want you to outgrow them, okay? A good coach should always want you to not not work with them, but like, you know, down the track, you're not going to be the ideal client with the same coach every single, like, for the rest of your life. That's where I'm going with that one. So they understand that, yeah, you're going to outgrow them. So if somebody needs you broke and dependent to keep their funnel full, that's not spiritual. That's like literally just sales. So keep your woo, but keep your receipts true, okay? And make sure you are doing your research and make sure that this person can continually show up, and that you actually align with them as a human. Because what I disagree with is that when you do these NLP courses, you then go through a sales training on how to sell them. So if you're not very good at sales and you want to build a career out of helping people, I'm all for it. I think it's great, okay? It's important that we learn how to give people the tools, and it's important that we reach people that we may not reach otherwise, okay? I truly believe that, but I've done the sales training myself, right? I know what is involved in it, and I'm just telling you to all be mindful about when you read clickbait statements like, work with me and you'll see a Lambo in your garage, okay? It's a little bit more. And again, check what they've got in their garage before you go and idolize them. Okay. Check their receipts. If you don't aspire, if they don't have what you have, sorry, if you, that's the stupidest thing I've ever said. If they don't have what you want to have or where you're looking to go, just maybe just think twice. Okay. If you're aiming to, grow a massive business and all these things, and the coach that you're working with doesn't have that and is just going to tell you how to do it and can't do it themselves, okay, just be mindful, okay? All right. We're going to cut to a little music break now this morning. Good morning if you're on with me live. Hi, Mum. Oh, you're the best. Yes, so I've got some really cool mixes for us again this morning. So let's get the vibe and the party going.
Oh, and I've been lying if you said I didn't love it, 'cause I do. I'm a couple minutes out from relaxing into you. Oh, fuck it. Baby, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love when we fight and I like it when you mean. We don't have to get into what they said about me. I got it. Baby, I love it.
He's awesome, right? Love. So I used to really not love him previously, and I will. His name's Liam, because he's live on TikToks. Will always only join if you're sexy, and it just really used to annoy me. So now I'm like, we love it. Okay. Now, this is the other segment I was really excited to talk about yesterday. So, good vibes only is quietly making you worse. And I'm really excited. And I feel like I'm like, ugh, I might be like shitting on the wellness space, but that's okay. I'm backing it up. So, I promise you, I come with good intentions. Actually, no, I come with the best intentions because I love you all. Okay. Good vibes only, sounds like wellness, but the research says it's closer to emotional avoidance with a candle lit next to it and is costing us more than we think. Okay, clearly when I wrote that yesterday, I was spicy as hell, but here we go. All right, so researchers have a term toxic positivity for forcing positivity and suppressing valid negative emotions like fear, anger, or disappointment. Now, I am all about being as high vibe as possible. But I know that that is not always the case for us because life be lifing, okay? We've got so many external pressures in our life, like so many of them, okay? And on a day-to-day basis, there are 7 gajillion things that are, coming our way to derail that. And to bring us out of our Zen life, okay? You get stuck in traffic, your kid annoys you. Like me right now, I can hear my cat Milan chasing himself around with his hair tie and it's really bothering me. Okay, first world problems. But right? I got my tax bill, so that was really annoying. Like, all of these external things that are like just waiting to rip us out of our little like woo-woo Zen. Now, what you don't get by avoiding that feeling, because we all don't like feeling shit. Like, let's be real, we all like to feel good all the time, but it's just not a reality in this 3D world. So what you are avoiding and what you are I guess how you are affecting yourself in a negative way if you try and avoid all of those feelings is, 1, you're not going to find the lesson, and 2, you're not going to release the emotion as well. So if you feel angry about a certain thing and you don't process that emotion and then release it, you're basically storing it. So see, I told you, like when NLP, like I love it and I am all for it. I just like it done, not manipulatively. So a 2026 study links to emotional suppression, right? Sorry, it links it to emotional suppression, shame and guilt, plus downstream stress and anxiety and poor emotional vibration, okay? Reviews tie chronic positive vibes only pressure to distress and burnout. Like that's how shit it can make you feel, okay? It is wild. So social media superchargers are obviously because the constant pressure to be optimistic and we live in the highlight reel and whatever, okay? like, it's just not reality. Like, we all have a bloody meltdown every now and then, and it's very good to do so. So the fix isn't to be sad and pessimistic, and that obviously is not what I'm saying. But it is the emotional accuracy. So name and process the real feeling, okay, instead of spray painting it in gold and telling yourself, like, no, that's fine. That was really terrible that happened, but that's fine, okay? Like, you've got to actually, like, get pissed off. Like, scream at being stuck in traffic. Like, anything you can do to literally express and get that emotion out of your body, more importantly, okay, it is actually going to help you down the track, okay? So I don't like toxic positivity. Everything isn't always roses, okay? Everything isn't always good. And when people say to you, oh, everything happens for a reason, I know. I'm aware of that, but I'm really pissed off right now. Okay. So I feel you. And I am literally like the queen of like expressing how I feel. And then I can yell and I can scream. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, oh, I just had my moment. And don't, especially if you have children, do not, like, when they have tantrums and things, like, it is really easy to try and tell them just to shh and like everything's going to be okay or whatever, but like understand that that is actually them processing their emotion, and it's better that they get it out. And I understand that if you're in a supermarket or on a plane, like I've spoken about a couple of times, like, it's really annoying, like, but truly you would probably rather that than them go through their adulthood with suppressed emotions stored in their body, which then manifest as physical ailments. Okay. So yes, to name it is to tame it. And it actually, like, if you name an emotion, or if you kind of recognize and give it like almost like a persona, if you will, it actually makes it easier to deal with, because it's not like just that feeling or just like, ugh. Like, a good one is like ego. So our ego is very important. Our ego protects us. But sometimes it can be to the detriment of us, okay? Sometimes it's not here, like, and it's never here to see us do well and see us succeed. It literally is here to like keep us safe. And that's like literally what we go through our whole entire life. It is the battle of what we want to do versus the battle of our primitive response systems responding to external threats that just aren't what they were when, back in our reptilian days. So, and this is what I love, because I just find it so fascinating, right? So good vibes only if you think about like caveman times, right? Our ancestors, like back in the day, okay? To be positive all the time, you wouldn't last. Like, if you were positive all the time and didn't be mindful and properly go through, a process of external threats, understanding, right? You would go up to a saber-toothed tiger and be like, oh, nice kitty. And then the thing would rip your face off, okay? So in that moment, it's very good to be wary and to realize that fear is going to save your life in that moment, because you'd be a little bit scared of the big kitty with the big teeth coming out of its face. Okay, not ideal, right? So, but the thing with our bodies and our minds now is that we're still those basic people from back in the day. We just got really fancy tech and really fancy stuff that our primitive brains just don't really understand. And it's just like, so you can liken that back in the day of having the fear or the anxiety around having a saber-toothed tiger outside of your tent trying to eat your baby and rip your face off. Okay, our body feels the same level of fear when we get a really nasty email from our boss, or, from a friend or from a family. You know what I mean? Like, these perceived threats are still very real, and how we feel that they're real, but it's just not the way that our primitive minds were designed to receive threats. It purely is about survival. So I love that I get to remind myself of that when, I start to feel a certain type of way about a situation. I'm like, okay, so would primitive Megs see this as life or death? No, it's not going to kill me. It doesn't really feel great right now. But again, you name it and you're like, okay, cool. This is this, particular emotion. I'm going to feel it. I understand what it feels like, and then release it. Go scream in a pillow. Go like beat the shit out of a punching bag, like, you know, whatever you can to get it out. And I just don't like the fact that we feel like we have to be high vibe all the time, because it's just not the case and it's just not realistic. And it's going to do you more damage by beating yourself up because you're like, well, I had a really low vibe day today. Sometimes life sucks. Okay. Sometimes shit happens. And sometimes you want to be dramatic about it and you want to just literally, and that's why if you have a first world problem, for example, right, have your first world problem. Okay. Complain about the way your hair looks. Complain about the fact you got to put glasses on, right? Get it all out, but do not stay stuck in that, because like you just can't. You've got to like process it, move on, okay? Pick yourself up, and then away you go, okay? So, like I said, I'm all for making sure my vibration is as high as possible, because I want to be in alignment with all of the things that I want, and that requires my vibe to be a certain way. But I do not, you know, beat myself up if I'm not like that all the time, because it's just not what it's going to do. So I guess the most loving way I can say this is positivity won't let you be honest. Positivity that won't let you be honest isn't positivity. It's like a muzzle. Okay. So if you're not actually feeling it, you're basically like slapping a rainbow on your head, and your whole body just feels like fire. Okay. So I am really, I guess, in my like recovery and reinvention season, precisely because I literally had to tell everyone I'm fine all the time, when I like actually wasn't. And I was trying to be the person that everyone knew me to be, even though on the inside it felt like my bladder had rocks in it, and like my uterus was like having a sword fight with everywhere else in my body. Okay. So I do like being truthful now in certain situations about how I feel, as opposed to being like, I'm fine. And like my parents will attest to this as well. I got very good at lying and saying, no, it's all good. Or like hospital trips that I didn't tell my parents happened. And then like I got caught out anyway. Okay. So you think that you're protecting yourself and the people around you by just being fine all the time. And this is a very, very, very serious side of things, obviously, but it's always the people that pretend to be fine that deep down have the darkest wounds, okay? It is typically not the people that complain about a broken nail and like, oh my God, I had the worst day ever, you know, and those quote unquote first world problems that, you know that they're not silently suffering, because they're very outwardly suffering, okay? So I'm woo positive, and I'll defend gratitude practice all day long, all day, every freaking day. Okay. But gratitude and honesty, are their teammates. Okay. They're not rivals. So, and I can be grateful and say today was hard. And the most courageous thing you can do this morning isn't a forced smile. It is an accurate sentence. Okay. So both can exist. Okay. You've had a really shitful day. Okay, but you're so grateful to come home and, well, I'll give you a really good example. Yesterday, so I had migraine yesterday, well, a threatening one, continually. Like I had the flashing spots, I had the pins and needles. I took my my migraine medication, but I still like felt it like throughout the day. So I was just like, oh my God, like I'm, you know, I've been working all weekend. I'm behind on stuff. Like I just want to catch up and do all the things. But so I was really, really, really pissed off. But then I was really like laying in bed, because it was like literally like 6:30, and I was laying in bed and I was like, I'm so grateful that I can be here and I've got my cats and I can just lay down now because I don't have anything else to do, or I do, but it's not super urgent. I can do it later. Like, and sitting in that gratitude, it wasn't trying to mask the fact that I felt, you know, shit and, you know, glorify the fact that I had a migraine. It literally just was. I was like, this is just great. Like, you know, it brings me a lot of peace feeling that way. So both get to exist. It can really suck, but you can be grateful for it. And let me tell you right now, the biggest lessons in life that we like can look back on and be like, you know what, I see why that had to happen at that time. Okay. Is always the ones that you're the most grateful for, because they are sucky at the time. Okay. But then you're like, okay, like I see why that happened. Okay, that's good. So I would love to for you guys to have a bit of a think about, when was the last time you said, I'm fine? okay, when you really weren't? And what would a more honest version have sounded like? Understanding that not everyone cares about your business and not everyone wants to see you do well and not everyone wants to help you when you're not feeling yourself, okay? But so yeah, be mindful as to who you choose to vent to and who in your life lets you be real instead of relentlessly positive, and how does it change what you tell them? Okay. So it's really interesting to understand when you, when you get to the point of understanding how important it is to have those venting and getting all of those feelings out. Do you have somebody around you, or is kind of just a private space where you sit and you either journal how you're feeling or whatever, but just like getting it all out? I would love to know what that looks like for anybody who's listening, because I'm always about trying to improve my little practices when it comes to emotionally releasing. Like, I love me a good cord cutting meditation. I do one every single night because I don't want to take the energy, or the negative energy, with me into my sleep, and into the next day. I'd rather cut it all out, and then I can lay there over an evening time and just be so grateful for like what's gone on that day, or like, the little wins that have come in. And again, it's not about convincing myself that everything of that day was unbelievable. It is just the fact that I've processed what wasn't great and I've just moved on, and what I'm choosing to focus on now is the things that I'm grateful for. Okay. And also, I've got another whole gratitude segment, which I don't think I'm going to get to today. But I truly just want more, like, if you can be grateful, it is like, I think it's the second highest frequency. I'm pretty sure enchantment is the highest. I'm 99% sure that enchantment is the highest frequency that you can be, but gratitude is just, is not too far off of it. So, and it's just a nice feeling. Like, it's just a nice feeling just to feel grateful. Okay. All right. I have another little song break for you. And then we're going into, let me read you the segment title. The midlife pivot is now the new normal path. Okay. Enjoy this, and I will be back in a minute.
Just come be the man I need. Tell me you got something to give. I want it. I kinda like it when you call me wonderful. Whatever the type of talk it is, come on then. I gotta know you're meant to be the man I need. Talk to me, be the man that I need, baby. Talk to me, be the man that I need. Talk to me, be the man that I need.
Just love it. He does some such cool mixes. Okay. Let me just make sure my chat is up. Perfect. Good morning, Jem. Good morning, Mum. Okie dokie. All right. So I'm just actually, because this is important. So Mum's just said, right, what went well today each night. Sorry, I just had to reread your writing, Mum. So write what went well today each night, okay? Because then you'll go to bed knowing that the day, like, you've processed what happened during the day that might not have been like made you the happiest, and then you also are able to be like, oh my God, let me tell you all the things I'm grateful for. We love being grateful. Okay, now let's talk about the midlife pivot is the new normal path. Okay. So changing your whole direction at 40 used to be a crisis story. Now the data says it's just the plan. Okay. So reinvention gets sold as like a leap off a cliff, I feel like. Okay. And it's usually a pivot on the same foot. Like, almost everything I do now is the same core skill aimed at something I actually care about. So if you're sitting there and you're feeling like it's too late, notice that the whole workforce is doing around you. Like, you're not behind, you're on time. And the shift from starting over to carrying forward, like, it's just the best thing ever, because you're not starting over, you're literally carrying forward, because you know that you're going into this new situation, this new life thing with a bucket load more experience than you did before. So let me give you some stats, and then let's chat about it. Okay. So the median age of the workforce now sits in the early 40s, and career reinvention is shifting from exception to expected. oh God, I can't read this morning. My God. A career reinvention is shifting from exception to expected part of a long working life. Because how boring to do the same things all the time. So instead of it being like I've changed careers at 40, it is like I've literally just like done something different, and it's the best thing ever because I wanted to do something more fun. Okay. Now, a LinkedIn workforce survey found over 60% of professionals aged 40 plus have seriously considered a major career change. And that doesn't surprise. I'm actually surprised the number isn't higher because, and I think this is my, as I say, my, I don't even know what you'll call it, my revolt against uni. Besides that, and I hated studying, is that like I'm not a person that can commit to wanting to do one thing forever in a day. Like if you look at my career path and my life in general, like I will change, and I can't be passionate. I can't pretend passion. I can't pretend to be passionate about something that I just don't care about. So I love the fact that now my entrepreneurial brain, it can go and it can explore these new things, and, you know, and it can go and I can do all of this new stuff because we have so much open to us now. And I didn't have to, you know, in my late teens, early 20s, decide what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And even when like you ask kids that now, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's like, I think I'm going to reframe that question if I ever ask it again. And I don't know to what right now. If I think of something before the end of the show, I'll drop it in. But I just feel like it's more important about who you want to be, right? And like and asking that to a little kid who doesn't quite understand is obviously not it. But if I got asked now who I want to be, you know, I want to be someone that chases their passions and makes lots of money doing so. Someone that is a good person, someone that is known to love on the people in their life and who is support. You know what I mean? Like the who versus the what is just like it's a very, very different energy, what you're talking about. So I feel like, you know, the midlife crisis, like the quintessential midlife crisis that we see is like, this is what it makes me think of. It's like the dude like the white guy in his 40s that's bought a sports car. Okay. Like to me, that's what like the old school version of a midlife crisis is. Okay. So the biggest drivers, right, of this is burnout, obviously, sector layoffs. So again, as society changes, we are doing different, like we have different skill sets becoming available to us. And it's easier online reskilling. Okay. So people are able to pivot their career choices because we have so much at our disposal and at our fingertips to be able to reinvent ourselves whenever we want to. And employers caring more about transferable skills than a tidy linear resume. So and look, I've obviously have a business, so it's a bit different, but my resume, I haven't updated it for like 8 years. Because the last jobs before I started my business that I got because of relationships. So I didn't necessarily have to apply for them. It was sort of like given. Well, not given. I still had to, you know, apply for it and go through all the bits and pieces. But those words on that piece of paper were very irrelevant in comparison to my expertise or my skill that I was able to show at the time. Okay, so reinvention kind of just gets sold as a leap off a cliff. Okay, so we define reinvention as something brand new, completely different, totally out there, different to anything you've done before, all of that. But it's actually like more so a pivot on the same foot, like bringing back my netballer era. So almost everything I do now is the same core skill. Aimed at something I actually care about. So, you know, if when I started my business, for example, you know, those skills that I learned from doing that would now be transferable into whatever field I wanted to go in. I would because I learned so many lessons from doing so that those skills are repeatable, and transferable into something completely different because those core skills are obviously what's going to get you there in the first place, which is what I love. Like, how cool is that? Like, I just love it. So if you're sitting there feeling like it's too late, right? Notice that the whole workforce is actually doing this around you. Like literally. And I absolutely love that. So you're never behind, you're always on time. And like I said, this shift isn't starting over, it's actually carrying forward. Like the knowledge that you can gain by putting yourself out there and going on these adventures and doing all of these things are so valuable and so important. And the skill of backing yourself and the skill of having amazing self-belief, right? And all these like what we call soft skills, even though arguably they're the most important skill of life, is it's massive. Okay. So I will take, like, if you can back yourself in, like if you've got that self-belief, okay. And like I said, I'm a visual person, right? I'm like very, very visual. So when I think of this, what I see is like this safety net, right? So when I take on a new venture, like this show, for example, I take on a new venture and the vision that I get is me standing on a cliff. And so this thing that I want to do is like just a teeny bit out of reach, like it's just over there. I know that as soon as I take a step, the step will appear, right? So I know the next step won't appear until I step onto the first step, right? We're never going to see the whole staircase. We're only going to see the next step that's in front of us. So in my head, it's like, all right, the cliff is here. And then I go to take a step and then 99.9% of the time, the step will appear. So I kind of like know, even if it's not in the same direction, even if it's not anything to do with what I'm currently undergoing, it might be some other lesson that I learned that I'm like, hell yeah, this is like really, really, really powerful. Like I really needed to know that right now. Okay. That is always what will appear. And so again, in my mind, it's not always a straight staircase either. Like sometimes I got to sidestep, sometimes I got to kind of like go up that, like, you know, it's different, but each step appears when it needs to, because that's what, you know, you need to know to kind of like evolve to the next level and move to the next level and move forward. However, it's like this golden like mesh, right? Underneath the, like off this cliff. So like this is how vivid my imagination is. Okay. It's like there's two cliff points. So like where I'm standing right now, and then way over the other side of the canyon is my, call it like highest expression of myself, or my highest version, or all of the things that I want to do with my life, right? So that's on the other side of the cliff across this massive big canyon. So as I'm learning new skills and as I am taking steps towards this new version of myself, or towards this goal that I'm trying to achieve, okay, it requires different things of me to get to these steps. And again, this is how vividly I see this, is some of the steps are quite high, like the next step is super high. So I need to learn how to jump, right? And I either need to find a trampoline, or I need to grow my muscles to jump really, really high into this next step. Okay. But it requires some action from me before I can move to that next step. However, while all of this stepping is going along, I have this golden mesh underneath, like in the canyon before it like hits to like the jagged ground. So, and that golden mesh is my self-belief, and it is the fact that I know I can back, when I'm backed into a corner, like I will work it out. I have so many instances of just making things happen, or like just working it out as I go, that self-belief and that understanding that if, you know what, I'm going to take this step and even it might not be it and I might fall off the cliff, I have the safety net of this beautiful golden mesh underneath me, and that will either fling me back up and chuck me on the step that I needed to be on, or it will fling me into a different direction. Because as long as I am taking steps forward, in my opinion, there's no wrong step. Okay. If I'm staying put and staying where I am, not ideal, right? Because I'm never going to learn. I'm never going to grow. I'm never going to get to like whatever it is that I came to this life to do by staying still. So even though that next step requires you to either have a different skill, be, you know, and that's why I think I like the visual, because like the next step, for example, if it's like right now it's too high for me to jump because I don't have the strength to jump that high, right? I know the things that I need to do in order to get there. So I just need to work on those things, right? And then off I go. So it's the fact that it never seems like, God, now I've got to do something again. Like, my God, it's not that at all. For me, it's just like, okay, cool. That's what it's going to take to do that next step. And to, when you go into anything and you know that no matter what, you can't fail, right? That is such a powerful space to come from, because I don't know, I think like failure, I like the way we're reframing failure these days, because there's no such, in my opinion, there's no such thing. Like, there was a saying, and it's so funny because every time I go to call on this saying, my brain blocks it out. So I call it test and learn. It's test and learn, right? So, oh, sorry, I remembered it. Trial and error, right? I replaced trial and error with test and learn, because in my opinion, there's no such thing as failure. Like, I will try something, and if it doesn't work, I understand what didn't work, so I'll do things differently next time. Or maybe I didn't even want to do that in the first place. So it just removes the pressure to get everything right all the time, because you're just forever testing and learning and optimizing. And when I sort of took the proverbial foot off of my own throat, at that point, it just makes it more fun. It just makes life so much more fun. So remember, and Mum's just put in here, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that is absolutely the truth. Okay. So if you don't change anything in your life, you're not going to be able to go to the next level. You're not going to be able to go and try the new things. Like, it kills me to see people just doing the same thing day in, day out, because they, that's just what you do in life. Okay. So many people I know and love are, getting married, like meeting their person, getting married, having kids, having to decide on who's going to stay home to look after the kids, or are we going to do childcare, or we are going to do this. Okay. So like, and going through the same continual patterns like, so I know I just don't, like, we don't get the light and the fun in life if we're doing things like that. And it's the same with, people in careers as well. It's like, well, I've trained, however many years to get to this point. Now I'm going to have to use this degree, or it's a waste. Okay. So that part too is like, it's really, I think it's almost like a guilt thing that you come with, that, you've now got a hex debt, and you've got all of these things that you had to go through to kind of get to that point of learning these things. So you may as well use it. However, and I don't have a uni degree, so I'm not going to say that this is what I would do. Well, no, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say what I would do, or how I would think if I was in that situation, knowing what I know about myself. I think that it would be, like, in my mind, I would utilize the skills, because obviously if you're doing a uni degree, there is going to be a bucket load of learnings that you're going to come out of it with, right? And regardless of whether you choose to go in and stay in that field, like, you will have gotten some sort of learnings or some sort of benefits out of it. Even if, right, the only learning that you have was the fact that you didn't want to do that anymore. Like, that is the whole learning. The whole thing was the 4 years you knew 1,000% certain that you didn't want to do that field anymore and that degree. So even though you really, really made sure by investing all of that money into yourself, which, any money invested in yourself is never a waste. But what I just love is the fact that we are seeing more and more people. Now, actually, let me preface this first of all by kind of just mentioning, obviously, if you're going into a medical field or something like your, anything that requires training and things like that, obviously these people are unbelievably crucial in our life, and we're so lucky to have a system even our public health system here in Australia with, the availability we have to unbelievably skilled medical people, obviously, and same with lawyers and things like that you actually need the technical training for, like completely different. But I'm talking about what we more consider to be the soft skills in life that you can sort of get from life in general, like school, like life is a school, right? Like you're always learning, just life be lifing. So you're always kind of like learning. And I guess what I want to kind of wrap this all up in with is saying is like, I'm unbelievably grateful for for the fact that I don't really fear failure as such. And it's just, maybe it's because of, the way that my parents have done life and, seeing what they do that inspired me to not be scared of like just starting again and doing something different. But to me, there are so many people out there that are huge expanders on this and for this. And like, Georgie Stevenson comes to mind. Like, she did her law degree because she thought that's what her parents wanted her to do. And they did. And so she did a law degree and now she is running a I think 2 or 3 unbelievably successful businesses, right? And I think when you do something new, you're going to have 2 types of people in your life doing stuff, right? So if one of my friends came to me and said, I'm going to quit my job, right? And I'm going to start this business. In my mind, immediately, I would be like, okay, not to make you scared or not to bring any fear of, but, can you try investing, 3 hours a night into that business just to make sure that it's something you definitely want to do? Because the days of going all in risk adverse is not wise. I think you still need to be able to back yourself in from a place of you've got enough learnings and you've got enough understanding of what you will need to be able to do if this current path doesn't work out the way you think, i.e. you go all in, you quit your job, you start this business and the business isn't bringing in enough money, right? What then? So I think I've kind of got to a point in life where I understand that well enough to know that I could give really sound advice on how to approach this situation if you wanted to start a business while you're still at a 9 to 5 and you're completely financially dependent on that job, okay? So the other thing we need to understand is that our fear, it comes from our childhood as well. So again, ages 0 to 7, it comes from conditioning about what you were used to or what your parents found scary or what your parents warned you of. And the other part that comes in is people that have less of their fear thermometer is different. Okay. So if I go to certain people in my life and I'm like, I want to do this and this, I know who to go to when I want somebody to be like, you know what, she'll do whatever, like she'll make it happen because that's just who she is. That's just what she does. Like, that's just what we know to be true about her, versus people that are like, oh God. And they don't see your limitations. They see their own. Okay, so people will scare you and people will be like, oh God, like, it's a bit risky, like, oh, it's a little bit like this. But just know that when you invite people to have an opinion on what you're doing with your life or what you want to create and what you want to start, that be mindful that they're not projecting their views onto you, because that is really, really common, because they don't know any different and they're doing it out of a place of love, right? Like, it is an absolute love for you. The reason why they're warning you to be, a certain way, or maybe advising against something that's really, really scary and life-changing. And it is purely just because they love you so much that they want you to, succeed and to not, like, quote unquote fail. So yeah, just something to be a little bit mindful of when you're going out there with your big dreams. So I could talk about that topic forever. It's just the most fun thing to talk about, I think, purely because the playful nature that I treat life with now is just like so much more fun, because I know, like, oh, mate, I'll just work it out. Like, something always comes up and I have so much experience and I have so many, I guess, instances where I've like back to the wall and it's the 11th hour and I just don't know how I'm going to be able to do it, that something always comes through. So being able to operate from that kind of vibe is huge, because yes, you still feel the stress. Yes, you still feel the pressure. Yes, life feels tough in certain instances and you think you can't see your way out. Okay. But then as soon as you kind of take a step back and pull yourself out of that, like what's going on right now, to being like, okay, like I'm going to tap into the fact that every time I felt like this, something unbelievably amazing has come out of it. And I know I can work it out and it'll be fine. It always is. And you literally can pull yourself out of that. Like even just saying that to myself now, it just makes me feel so much lighter, because it's just like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It is always fine. Okay. All right. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you. Again, I'm going to sort this guest situation out. So you're stuck with me for a little bit longer until they sort it all out. And I